Something unstable keeps running underneath the surface. Like fear, wired into the system. Black cables hanging above flooded alleyways, neon reflections bleeding through thick rain. Subway pressure underneath dead districts, static air trapped between concrete towers. Every signal sounds corrupted tonight, like damaged circuits inside the skyline. Street lights flickering without pattern, mechanical shadows crawling through smoke. Voltage rising, pulse unstable, pressure spreading through the circuitry. Hypnotized machinery, lost inside industrial repetition. Acid frequencies whipping through darkness like electric fractures inside steel veins. Nobody speaks inside this warehouse. Only movement, only shadows, only basslines shaking the floor. Fear, circuit. Fear, circuit. Black voltage. Black Cold train lights fading into tunnels, empty faces behind scratched station glass. Every reflection feels emotionally erased, like humanity disconnected from itself. Static underneath exhausted eyes, electric tension beneath pale skin. Even silence feels mechanical now, frozen, restless, disconnected. Signal collapsing, pulse accelerating. No silence inside the circuitry. Smoke flooding across warehouse floors, space pressure shaking steel foundations, dark silhouettes beneath red lighting, moving through industrial fog. Acid distortion tearing through the darkness like fear translated into sound waves. Everything feels unstable tonight. Cold lights, cold air, cold circuits. Fear, circuit, static, system, fear, circuit. No escape. The system keeps running. Somewhere beneath the static. beneath the city. Running through the concrete. Skylines, cold floodlights glowing through factory haze. Underground tunnels beneath endless districts. Steel vibrations moving through the foundations. Every structure feels alive tonight, like pressure trapped inside giant walls. Dark service roads without direction. Gray smoke drifting between silent towers. Pressure rising, systems awakening, movement spreading through the structure. Kick drums crashing through concrete chambers, smoke spiraling beneath crimson strobes. Bodies moving like synchronized engines, lost inside hypnotic repetition. Acid frequencies grinding through darkness, like voltage trapped beneath the city. Nobody speaks inside this warehouse. Only motion, only shadows, only baseline shaking the floor. Concrete reactor. Concrete reactor. Dark pressure. Dark pressure. Silent rail corridors crossing industrial zones. Signal lights blinking through heavy fog. Every reflection feels engineered and cold, like emotion buried beneath infrastructure. Static beneath exhausted eyes. Metal tension underneath pale skin. Even breathing feels mechanical now. Industrial, endless, disconnected. Systems accelerating, signals fading. No silence inside the reactor.
Something invisible keeps moving through the system like a ghost, trapped inside the circuitry. Rising, signal distortion. Pressure spreading through the circuitry. Kick drums smashing through underground chambers. Smoke spiraling beneath red warning strobes. Bodies moving like shadow machinery. Lost inside industrial repetition. Acid frequencies ripping through darkness, like electrical burns across steel veins. Nobody speaks inside this warehouse. Only movement, only shadows, only basslines shaking the floor. Train lights fading into tunnels, empty reflections behind scratched glass. Every face feels emotion disconnected, like humanity disappeared into static. Electric pressure underneath tired eyes, signal interference beneath pale skin. Even breathing sounds synthetic now, mechanical, restless, disconnected. Unstable, signal collapsing, no silence inside the circuitry. Smoke flooding across warehouse floors, bass pressure shaking steel foundations, dark silhouettes beneath red lighting. Moving through industrial fog, acid distortion tearing through the system, like fear transformed into sound waves. Everything feels darker tonight. Cold lights, cold air, cold circuit. Cold circuitry keeps running. Somewhere beneath the static.
The transmission keeps moving through empty space. No origin, no ending. red line.